Hello everyone, Castle95 here, and tonight we're going to talk about SLAMMIVERSARY. This, at least for me, is the most anticipated show of the year, and this year's SLAMMIVERSARY have been one of the greatest. I mean, the match card just was really good. The way they assembled everything, every match made sense to be in this card, you know, no filler matches or anything. But let's start with the pre-show. So in the pre-show we have Laurel Vanessa, Congo Kong, and KM against ALLIE, BRAXTON, and SHERA. So I expect this match to be in the main show alongside Swaggle versus Spud, but Impact decided to give us Spud versus Swaggle last week on Impact Wrestling on Pop TV, and this match on the pre-show. So I mean, this makes the main show more interesting because there's no filler matches, no breaks for going to the bathroom or anything. And I'm not saying that this 6-man match is a filler or it doesn't make sense to happen on SLAMMIVERSARY. It's the opposite. I mean, we all were expecting to have a good feel great moment for ALLIE in SLAMMIVERSARY, the biggest pay-per-view of the year, because her storyline, her character has developed a new personality. You know, we all wanna see the underdog get recognition at a pay-per-view. That will be nice. That wouldn't be nice, but they decided to put this in the pre-show, which is not a bad thing at all. Actually, I'm glad to see Braxton and ALLIE in action. I mean, it's better than, for example, the situation with Trevor Lee and Andrew Everett, which they are not in the pay-per-view at all, so that's sad. But I don't know if Gravity Helms parting ways with Impact Wrestling. I don't know if that means that Andrew Everett and Trevor Lee are going to part ways with Impact too. I hope not. But anyways, talking about this match, I mean, I love KM facial expressions. I love how he talks to the camera every time he has the opportunity to yell something or mess with the fans. The guy is really good with that. And talking about the storyline, I mean, I appreciate all that they have been doing. The way they mix things up with SHERA and Rosemary. I mean, it was really entertaining the last couple weeks. But at the same time, like, it's enough, guys. Like, we've seen this angle since Laurel Vanessa's wedding. I mean, and that's being nice with Impact. I mean, this whole storyline started when ALLIE and Braxton debuted last year on Impact Wrestling, which is not a bad thing, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that was a bad decision, but I also think that it's time to move on, you know, move things forward. I want to see ALLIE doing something different, feuding a different person, having a rivalry with other knockouts. The same for Laurel. I mean, Laurel is brilliant in that character. She's really great, but you know, just shake things up. And talking about shaking things up, I mean, the match started with the male wrestlers going at it, SHERA, Braxton, KM, and Congo Kong. But then, when Laurel takes the tag from Kong, SHERA gives the tag to ALLIE. That exchange of moves was great. I mean, we finally got to see Cherry Bomb in action. I mean, the people that follow ALLIE way before she signed with Impact Wrestling, we were all expecting to see this someday, you know? And it happened in the biggest pay-per-view of the year for Impact Wrestling, SLAMMIVERSARY. She applied all her repertoire on Laurel Vanessa, and yeah, it's finally Cherry Bomb in action in Impact Wrestling. So this is a good sign that things are moving forward. I mean, they are no longer treating ALLIE like a rookie. He can actually hold herself with Laurel in the ring. You know, she's using new movements. She's acting like a wrestler more than ever. And yeah, so I don't know if Impact plans of giving her a title reign or put her against SIENNA now, or what are they going to do with Laurel. But as I said, this is a good sign about ALLIE moving forward with her character and everything. So yeah, basically the match is entertaining. I mean, it's a good pre-show, a good opener. It's interesting to see finally ALLIE get some revenge without Rosemary and everything, without Sienna's intervention, because Sienna was preparing for her big match in the main show. And also, there's a moment when Congo Kong just goes over the top rope and then lands on his feet at ringside. So that was great. That was sick. I mean, the guy that was just front row there and Congo Kong was on his face, that was a great moment. And then the cannonball hitting SHERA against the steel steps, that was great. And then at the end we see ALLIE using the underdog, the sliced bread. Well, that's in wrestling television, at least that's the official underdog finisher, you know. I don't know if she can do this with another knockouts. I think Sienna can sell it, but I don't know. Well, I don't know why they didn't use the super kick, the best super kick ever, or the jawbreaker or code breaker that she's used to use, but or well, they were using the Death Valley driver as a finisher weeks before, so I think that this is confusing. I mean, I'm not saying that this is a bad thing. Use different moves as your finisher. I mean, that's attractive and everything, but you know, they were taking time to sell the Death Valley driver as a credible move, like to end the match. And now all of the sudden, ALLIE just used a sliced bread. Well, it wasn't a sliced bread. It was more like an ace crusher, you know, like, yeah, kind of a sliced bread, but an ace crusher. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I would prefer her to use the Death Valley driver. I don't know. But in the end, BRAXTON, ALLIE, and SHERA get the win, so they are celebrating and everything, you know. And this pre-show was pretty enjoyable. I mean, I'm expecting to see more of ALLIE in action next week, and maybe, as I said, things moving forward from now on. And now let's talk about the main show. I mean, it starts with LASHLEY and Alberto arriving in the building with their titles and family and friends and everything. So you see, this is a big match. This is a big moment. I mean, I was obviously rooting for LASHLEY to win, but yeah, for the majority of people, it was pretty obvious that Alberto was going to be the first ever unified. I don't know, and something that happened like days or hours before SLAMMIVERSARY was the news that Jarrett and the guys in charge are rebranding Impact Wrestling as GFW. I mean, I really hope the weekly show name doesn't change. I mean, I don't care if it is GFW's Impact Wrestling now instead of TNA's Impact, but I really hope the name Impact Wrestling just stays, you know, because I really like this logo that they have. I hope it sticks around, and also it's a recognizable name, you know. And Impact on YouTube, on Facebook, on Twitter, it's already a brand, so yeah, I don't see the problem changing TNA for GFW. I don't see why is that a big deal, you know, because the name doesn't matter. I mean, Impact was without the TNA name since this year started, I guess. And at some point it was called Anthem's Impact Wrestling, so I don't see what that's a problem for some people, but whatever. So then a video package, which is something I hate about Impact Wrestling, is that in video packages and those kind of things, they always talk about the past. You know, it's not a bad thing to remember the past and the big names they signed years before, but you know, just focus on new faces, the guys that are with the company right now. Although this was just like an intro, because after the narrator says tonight is about the here and now, it changed to the current superstars of Impact Wrestling, which I like. I like it this better. I mean, you don't have to go back to find good footage for Impact Wrestling or find the highlights. You know, the present it's really cool right now. It's one of the best years Impact has ever had. I mean, 2015 was one of my favorite years. 2014 was great. 2013 was great. But the last couple years were really cool. I mean, last year with the whole Broken Universe, Lashley being unbeatable, Eddie Edwards becoming world champion, Rosemary, Maria, ALLIE, Mike Bennett and EC3's rivalry was awesome. Galloway versus EC3 too. So I guess my point is we should pay more attention to the present, but it's not bad at all to look back, you know, talk about how great Impact used to be, but don't say it like now Impact is not great, you know. That's why they changed at first. The hashtag for this new era of Impact Wrestling was make Impact great again, like as if it wasn't have been great the last couple years, but which is a lie, you know. Everyone that follows Impact weekly and actually watches the show knows that the Impact has been doing great since 2013, 2012, you know, and the years before that, they were always good things, more good things than bad things, you know. The people that said that Impact Wrestling has been a bad company, a bad place with bad storylines, bad rivalries, bad matches the last 10 years, those people didn't even watch Impact Wrestling in the first place, believe me. But anyways, that's why they changed the hashtag to make Impact great, so you don't get the wrong message saying that maybe Dixie didn't made Impact great when she was in charge, which is a lie, because Dixie made a lot of great decisions, great things since 2013, which is the year that I started watching Impact again weekly without missing a single show. So yeah, it was a great video package, very cool. The 15 years in the making for Impact Wrestling. This was a celebration, the anniversary show, and then it started off with the Owl of Anthem flying into the ring, whatever. Was a cool moment, I guess. Although I don't like birds, I mean, they scare me. Oh, and then we have Flores and Don West in the announce table. I mean, that's great. I mean, I really miss Don West's voice, calling Impact Wrestling, putting over some talents. I really was hoping to see Mike Tenay back, but they say that Mike actually declined an offer from Impact to come back for SLAMMIVERSARY, which sucks. And I don't know, I thought Mike Tenay loved the Impact Wrestling. But whatever, we had Don West and Robert Flores. It was cool. Yeah, but I was really more excited for Don West. Really, I really missed that guy. And when he came back with the Shop Impact announces, it was great. So the match starts with the tag team division, and as I said in the last video, so according to Conan, Impact was talking with important people to give an international flavor to his tag team division, which is great, but I don't see the majority of these guys actually staying in with Impact or with GFW the following weeks, you know. I don't see the Noah guys coming back for taping of episodes or being part of a long-term rivalry or something. I mean, the AAA guys could easily be part of the roster because they already work in Los Angeles, and you know, AAA guys, it's Mexico, it's not as far as Japan. But then we have Laredo Kid and Garza Jr., which are independent wrestlers from Mexico that are doing things in the United States, and they have been doing it like for years now. So those guys are probably the ones that are going to stick around Impact Wrestling the most, not only because they were present in the previous episode tapings of Impact Wrestling in Orlando. They didn't go to India, but you know, they can definitely be a regular part of the tag team division. But for now, I guess we don't have to worry about who is staying, who's not coming back ever again, and just enjoy this showcase for LAX, because this was their night. You know, Santana and Ortiz earned this big moment for them. Like these guys are just great. I mean, since their entrance, LAX just came out to their music from that back door with kind of military vests. Ortiz just runs into the ring. Diamante, as always, just screaming and doing the LAX hand movements. Santana with a flag on his face, like just with 2 titles on his hands, talking to the camera, aggressive as always. That's awesome, and I love that Conan look here. It was like he looks like Donatello from TMNT, the Ninja Turtles. He looks great, and of course Homicide on ringside. So this was great. I mean, I love how Santana just goes face to face with Garza and Marufuji. I mean, actually Marufuji and Santana opened this match, so that was great. I mean, an awesome exchange experience for Santana to face Marufuji, have a couple of minutes in a one-on-one with him. I mean, so many wrestlers in the ring. This match was total non-stop action, and that was awesome. Like, I have enjoyed every minute of this match. I think that the only botches or things like that are the ones with Drago. He failed a splash from the top rope, and then I don't know, when he was going to fly over the top rope to the outside, he came up short, and well, nothing wrong happened with that. But nonetheless, this match was great. I mean, more good things than bad things. As I said, one of my favorite moments are the Marufuji and Santana exchange in a kind of a one-on-one match. That was great. You know, every wrestler has his moment to shine, to apply a bunch of moves, and that's awesome. Laredo was great. It was just flawless. I mean, the guy is such a professional. He doesn't even fail, like, ever. And the exchange, and Ishimori was the guy that I've never saw wrestle before, and he's awesome. I mean, he has moves, those parkour moves as Johnny Mundo, but he can also do powerhouse stuff. That handspring kick, Osprey style, that was great. I loved it. I mean, I really hope the Noah guys can come back. I mean, definitely. I mean, they have been in the Crash promotion with Conan in Mexico, so I guess it's not a impossible thing for them to come to America and actually work a couple of days, you know. And the format that Impact has right now, with taping episodes for like 3-4 days and then airing those episodes in the course of a month or a month and a half. I mean, I don't see why they can't just come to America, tape 2 days of episodes, and then go back to Japan. I mean, maybe that's an option. I don't know what they're going to do with these guys. Well, the other guy who seems to be really over with the fans is Garza Jr., which I like. I mean, I hope they don't let him go, because weeks before there were news that NXT was actually interested on signing Garza Jr., but he wants to be independent. I mean, he has worked as exclusive talent for AAA in Mexico, and he kinda doesn't want to be an exclusive wrestler. You know, he wants to do his thing on the indies and stuff. So, you know, I don't know. I mean, it's not like I'm saying that I don't want Garza to sign with NXT, but I mean, if Jarrett offers him a contract and he agrees, I mean, I would love to have this guy in Impact Wrestling. That would be great. He could be the next Alberto or something. So yeah, the match is pretty intense. As I said, it's non-stop action. And oh, one of the saddest things that happened here is, like, I think Diamante just hurt one of her legs. I mean, she just came out of an injured elbow. So I mean, I really hope she's doing fine. I mean, I was hoping to actually see her in action the next couple of episodes. I mean, in the Knockouts division, maybe it's time for her to start something. Although after LAX retaining the titles, Homicide and Conan said that they actually hired a new member and it was going to be a surprise. So yeah, I hope Diamante is doing okay. I haven't checked Twitter because I guess she has updated her status there, but I don't know. So I'm gonna look for that. And another thing is that they didn't present any new titles. I mean, at the end of the pay-per-view, Jarrett said that they have not done some things because they ran out of time. I guess that's the reason why they didn't present new titles in a ceremony or something like that. But so yeah, I don't know. Maybe they are actually having wrestlers carry 2 titles instead of 1 has some appealing to it, you know. It looks cool and everything. But I don't know. So well, this was the tag team match. It was an awesome match, awesome showcase for LAX, for Garza and Laredo Kid and the other guys from AAA and Noah that probably are not going to come back ever, but who knows. And also Diamante with 2 big spots like the moonsault when Garza pushes her from a powerbomb position from the ring apron to the outside, and then the kind of a pop-up powerbomb, but Diamante flies outside the ring, lands over El Hijo del Fantasma, who just catches her in a perfect way. That was great. And the triple moonsault between Laredo, Garza, and Santana. That was great. So LAX retains in an awesome match. They announced that they have a new member, and that guy is going to complete the revolution. So I really expect something big out of this. And this match was so great that the ref was sweating and they was so amazing, so fast. That was cool. And then the next match is Eli Drake and Chris Adonis against D'Angelo Williams and Moose. So I gotta say, this match was better than I thought it would be. I mean, just a couple of, well, a big botch from Eli Drake. He attempted to do a double springboard. I mean, yeah, that's a hard thing to do, and you can't blame the guy for trying it in a big pay-per-view, but yeah, it kinda stopped the match. Oh, and also the final spot with D'Angelo doing the frog splash and landing way far from the table and actually almost breaking his back. But the match was great, and I mean, I thought that D'Angelo Williams could give us a good match, you know, because he respects wrestling and everything, and well, he's getting trained by Moosse and other guys. So, but I didn't expect to see something this good. I mean, the guy can definitely go, and he's great. I mean, the whole internet was talking about how good D'Angelo Williams was at SLAMMIVERSARY. What a surprise that was. And as I said in my last video, I hope this is not just a one-night thing. I hope this is the start of a great career in wrestling for D'Angelo Williams. I mean, the guy has already a really good repertoire of movements. I mean, his moveset is great. Has a couple of Moosse moves, but also the standing moonsault was great. The frog splash. The guy is more and more athletic. I mean, he's shorter than Moosse, so he can do a lot of things that Moosse just can't. You know, and that's really not only impressive, but you know, it makes me happy to see this guy actually a celebrity, actually having a good match and being capable of actually go with the wrestlers. I mean, he does keep-ups and everything. So I really expect him to see him next week and, you know, in the next episodes of Impact Wrestling. I really do. Although I don't see if that's a possibility, but you know, the guy, I mean, he can definitely go, and I would love to see him. So the match is great. I mean, yeah, everyone was expecting Moosse versus Eli in a Grand Championship match with all the rules and everything, but this is also cool. I mean, even Chris Adonis looked good. And also, this is a traditional traditional tag team match, and the opener, the tag team division match was one with lucha rules. So here we actually see some tags, and I think it was a great decision to have Moose and the Angelinas making a tag team debut, because having, for example, Williams versus Drake, maybe it would not be as a great match as this was, you know. So in conclusion, I guess this was a good match. I mean, Eli didn't take a pin, but at the end he broke the table with his body. So yeah, I guess the fanboys are going to talk about the table spot for ages, saying that, oh, Impact this shit because this guy failed a frog splash, even though the rest of the show was great. But you know, it was a great debut nonetheless. And then they're victorious. Moose gets the pin. Cool. So I don't know who is going to take that title away from Moose. As I said in my last video, maybe if D'Angelo Williams is taking this seriously and he actually signs a contract with Impact, he can make a heel turn and cost Moose the title or something, you know. Use your imagination. You can see a bunch of possible scenarios for this to happen. And yeah, after that we go to Mackenzie Mitchell interviewing EC3. He's talking about Slammiversary, saying that he recognized how great James Storm is and how important he is for Impact Wrestling, and he says that that's exactly why he chose him as his canvas, as he said. James Storm is EC3's canvas to paint his masterpiece. And yeah, so this guy is really good in the mic. I mean, everybody knows that. Wow. And she just actually tells that he's going to rip apart James Storm with piece by piece. Like this got pretty intense. As I said in my last video, I mean, this feud went from 0 to 100 in a week. Like the moment EC3 cracked a bottle of beer in James Storm's face or head, that moment this got personal and this started. Then the in-ring segment with EC3 mocking James Storm treating EC3 like a kid. I mean, the two guys unsatisfied with the company, unsatisfied with the way their careers have turned to be these last couple years, just getting really close to gain the world title but never actually doing it, feeling like they are misappreciated by Impact Wrestling, not liking the new regime. But from two different points of view, EC3 actually hates the company and says that it has been a shithole since Jarrett got in charge, being so outspoken about his opinion on the company and the new authority. Meanwhile, Storm expressing only love for the company but frustration with the way that they don't trust him to be the champion. They never did. I mean, he's just a veteran or something that the company can rely on for emergencies or something like that. But you know, James Storm actually thinks that he deserves to be the face of the company because he has given them 15 years of his career, of his life. So yeah, that was a pretty intense, pretty good, pretty cool and personal rivalry, and making it a strap match with all the story that these two have with the straps. I mean, and with whipping each other's back. I mean, that's great. The match was really cool. It started really good with Ethan just getting strapped in with James Storm. Ethan always talking, like the guy just can't shut his mouth, and I love that about Ethan. Meanwhile, the Cowboy is just there standing, waiting for the right moment to attack EC3. EC3 tries to get in their head, you know, but James Storm has seen it all. Actually, during the match, we can see a more methodical James Storm. Like the guy has actually, the previous weeks, he's just on fire. He's mad, you know, he just wants to punch EC3 in the face. But in this match, he's just, you know, calculating all his moves, even calculating how is he going to talk, what is he going to say, when. And I mean, it worked. The match was really great. And as always, EC3's facial expressions are the best. The guy's just great with facial expression, expressing pain and frustration and mocking James Storm, going against the fans. I mean, this guy expressed so many emotions with his face. That's why he's a main eventer, you know. The camera is always in his face. I like how Storm starts the match dominating on EC3, but then Ethan turns things around using the ropes and then choking Storm with the strap. And yeah, I like the spot when Storm goes to the top rope, then EC3 just pulls the strap, slams Storm from the top rope, then at TK3. That was great. And then EC3 going for the handcuffs again, trying to handcuff Storm again against the ropes and whipping his back. But the Storm, I don't know why, Don West said he's a magician, so he ends up handcuffing EC3, which is great because that reminds me of that 6 Siders of Steel when Matt Hardy and Tyrus were beating EC3. Then Tyrus goes to handcuff EC3, but EC3 turns things around and handcuffs Tyrus. It was kind of karma karma for Ethan for, you know, 2015 and stuff. 26, I don't know, 2015, yeah. So then we have the revenge, the 31+1 whips to the back, of Ethan. And that was really, really intense. I mean, Ethan's back wasn't as fucked up as James Storm's back when Ethan whipped him 31 times. But it was, yeah, it looked painful. Like, it was 32 times. Ethan actually posted a video about this on Facebook which is great. And yeah, then we see something strange. Is EC3 avoiding the last call super kick, but then Storm applying the 1% in the middle of the ring. That was awesome. I mean, that moment was great. Storm almost beats Ethan with his own move. And then the decisive moment of the match. Ethan pulls the strap after taking it off, and you know, Brian Hebner was there saying like, you have to put this back on, man, these are the rules. Then he pulls the strap. Storm just crashes into the ring post with his head, and well, this is obviously kayfabe, but that was a concussion. That's why in the end of the match, Storm was about to win. Well, I like the detail that Storm actually resists the count from a 1%er. I mean, that's a good detail, but in the end, after the last call super kick, Storm just fades and falls in the middle of the ring. I mean, that was a concussion. He just dies right there. And something really weird was EC3 applying an angel's wings. I mean, that was weird because he has never applied something like this. I mean, I thought he was going for a pedigree because he always like sends shots to Triple H and NXT and those kind of things. But I don't know, it was weird. I mean, I thought, is Chris Daniels coming to Impact or what the hell? Or why would you end this big match in a pay-per-view with other move that is not your finisher? I mean, finish it with the 1%, or why not? You have win really, really important matches with that, and also with the schoolboys, because that's what EC3 does. But I don't know. Yeah, that was weird. I mean, maybe that's a sign of Christopher Daniels coming back from Ring of Honor to Impact Wrestling. Maybe not. Maybe it's just a new finisher for EC3. Either way, this match was great. It was all that I was expecting it to be. I mean, I expect really good facial expression for both guys. Ethan is stealing the attention from Storm. Storm being acting like a veteran that knows when and how to move and do things in the ring. Meanwhile, EC3 was just talking, always talking, never shutting his mouth, trying to get in Storm's head. And the end of the match was really great. I didn't expect that at all. Like a concussion storyline. Maybe Storm is going to be absent a couple of weeks, or maybe not. Maybe he's just going to come by and say, I'm sorry, I'm just so fucking old and I can't have hits in my head like that. I just fade out and I failed you. Maybe a heel turn. Maybe Bram and Kingston are going to come back and kick Storm's ass now that he's weak or something. I don't know. Even though Bram is injured, so yeah, I don't see that happening. But anyways, during the show, we saw a backstage segment with Karen Jarrett and Dutch Mantel talking about Bruce Pritchard, that he wasn't in Impact Wrestling the last days, like he doesn't answer the phone and he's not at SLAMMIVERSARY. Nobody knows what happens with him. I mean, this is really cool because, you know, it creates expectation for future shows. You don't know what's going to happen with these guys, and maybe EC3 has something to do with Bruce Pritchard disappearing. That will actually make sense. Maybe it was Eli Drake who was also frustrated with Bruce Pritchard and actually wanted to kick his ass. So yeah, this is great. I mean, so many questions for next Impact episodes, and I hope they answer this in the next couple of weeks. Or maybe they are trying to, you know, maintain this as a mystery for a long-term rivalry that is going to end up in Bound for Glory. Who knows? So I like how Storm sold the concussion thing. I mean, he has to be carried through the ramp and everything, and that was cool. I mean, not that he had a concussion, but obviously it was kayfabe. At least that I hope. You know, you never know with wrestlers. But yeah. So I don't know what's going to happen next week. Obviously, a lot of things are going to move forward and just change. I really miss to see Magnus and Matt Morgan in action at SLAMMIVERSARY. I really was hoping to see them, you know, having big matches. I don't know why Magnus wasn't there, especially Magnus, because I really love this guy. I was really happy when he came back. I mean, I wanted to see him as world champion. He was GFW's world champion when he drops the title for Alberto. So I don't know, but I really hope to see Magnus back in action. Then we go to Joseph Park and JB versus Josh Matthews and Scott Steiner. So the storyline was great. The video packages were great. Like the pre-taped segments with Joseph Park and JB training were awesome. The public training session of Josh Matthews' public workout was great. I mean, it reminded me of Maria's public workout, which was an awesome segment in ring. That was cool too. I mean, Josh Matthews really surprised me. I mean, he always said that he was going to be part of the exhibition in the early days, but you know, he can actually go. Seeing Scott Steiner was really cool. The whole compilation of promos that they presented in the previous video packages was super cool. I mean, I really like this guy, and I like how Don West doesn't find the correct adjective to describe him, just said he's just unpredictable, which is true. I mean, you never know what he's going to say. And I love how they did. I didn't expect this at all, but I should have seen this coming. I mean, the match starts in the ring, but then they go to the back, and then we have a pre-taped segment to complete the match, you know, with entertaining things in a golf car and everything. And that was great. I mean, the feud it started kind of rough. I gotta admit, I didn't like it at first because it was taking too much time on TV. Like Josh Matthews and JB actually arguing with each other for 5-10 minutes. I didn't like this at all, and I was hoping this feud to end in a couple of weeks. But then with the video packages and the pre-tape segments and all the stuff with the Scott Steiner, with Josh Matthews coming back to the ring, this became something really interesting. I mean, Matthews at some point he jumps from the top rope to the outside, just lands on his back flat, and that was sick, dude. I didn't expect that at all. Then out of nowhere, Scott Steiner just rips one of the barricades apart, starts throwing it through the ramp, and I was like, what the fuck is happening with this guy? Then they go to the back, and that's awesome. No, some broken universe for you. This is something that they used to do with the Hardys that started in 2015, 2016 actually, with the final deletion and delete or decay and all the stuff. Then they were doing something like this with the DCC feud against the Hardys, which was also cool, and the tag team Apocalypse. I don't know what it was called exactly. I don't remember. But then with the Spot and Swabble, they were doing something kind of like that. But I know that this is not going to last. I mean, it was shorter than the Hardys pre-tape segments, you know, and it's understandable. And actually, I'm glad that they did it that way because I enjoyed it the most. You know, I enjoyed it really more than as if they were going to do a large pre-taped segment that is going to take like 15 minutes. No, so this was really great, and the segments in ring are cool too. I mean, we get to see again the Rosemary guy, the guy that is actually in love with Rosemary, that Rosemary pushes around throughout 2016. That was great. Then the pool segment, the pool part. I mean, Jeremy Borash doing a sunset flip on top of Matthews, Shark Boy out of nowhere. That return was great. Then so Joseph Park gets knocked out, and then we get to see James Mitchell giving him his mask. I mean, I would prefer to have seen the old Abyss, you know, old school Abyss, when he was actually managed by James Mitchell. So, but anyways, it was a great moment. Abyss is back. He just murders both Steiner and Josh Matthews. I mean, Josh Matthews just took a black hole slam into the thumbtacks, and that was super painful. Then JB with a splash from the top, and actually his hands land on the thumbtacks, and then he was just screaming in pain. That was awesome. It was a cool match, super entertaining. I mean, these guys didn't took themselves. I love when wrestling doesn't take itself too seriously. I mean, obviously it can be serious, it can be emotive, and it can be dark sometimes, but you know, this kind of matches just relax you, and it's not exactly a break for the bathroom. You know, I get why they keep this for the main show. It makes sense. This is something that has been building up like for months now, since Jarrett was back on top, having JB doing this thing. I mean, that was great. I really enjoyed this match. I hope James Mitchell sticks around with Abyss. I mean, it will be interesting to see what they are going to do with these guys now that Abyss is back and everything. Maybe Shark Boy is going to be, you know, doing the JOB and weekly episode. And yeah, this is finally over. I really enjoyed it. And yeah, so now more than ever, I'm a fan of Josh Matthews. The guy is great. I mean, he's giving it all for Impact Wrestling. That's good. I hope he doesn't say goodbye. I mean, I hope he sticks around. Having the Pope and Josh Matthews in the announce table is great. But then we go to Alberto and Mackenzie Mitchell in an interview backstage. So Alberto gives a really emotional speech talking about his father, his people in Mexico, whatever. He's really happy to be here. Like he's not afraid of Bobby Lashley. I mean, I was really expecting the main event, basically because it was so unpredictable. I mean, for some guys it was obvious that Alberto was going to win, but you know, you never know. And I really was hoping for Lashley to win, although Lashley has had its time. You know, he has been the most dominant Impact Wrestling champion ever. And so yeah, I mean, it doesn't feel wrong to actually take that weight off of Lashley's shoulders, you know. Give it to Alberto, someone that has said that he wants to retire with Impact. Although we don't know if that, I mean, we know he said that literally, but you know, you never know. Things change, people change, but nonetheless, I don't think this was a bad decision at all. So then we go to the most intense rivalry of the year, Davey Richards against Eddie Edwards. As I said in my last video, this rivalry was started when Davey Richards came back from injury. He cost his brother his title against Lashley in a rematch, and then they include their wives. I mean, the psychology, the acting in these guys, the backstage segments with Eddie and Davey were great. Davey's facial expression are way better than Eddie's, but actually I think Eddie talks a lot more than Davey. But you never know. I mean, we've seen another companies that I follow are CCW and ICW, so I've seen this guy CCW, Davey Richards actually winning CCW's world title against Leo Rush in the Fight Wrestling, and the guy cut a really good promo against CCW, saying that they're going to have to find him to take his title back. You know, I mean, Davey has developed a really good mic skills. I mean, it's not something that strange, because actually that's what Impact Wrestling did to Lashley. I mean, they took Lashley and make him the complete package, you know. Lashley was actually just a powerhouse, just a really attractive guy because of the MMA stuff, ex-WWE stuff, but he always needed a manager, you know. He wasn't like completely independent because he couldn't talk. He had his wife, he had MVP, he had Kenny King, but then in 2015 out of nowhere the guy just becomes the complete package and just the most dominant champion ever. So that's what Impact actually did with Eddie Edwards when they gave him the title. So that was great. That was not only a good feel good story, but you know, it was actually good. I mean, it was, as a standalone, it was a good storyline, for a good showcase for what Eddie Edwards is capable of. And this rivalry is just great. I mean, the inclusion of Alicia and Angelina was a really good idea. And well, talking about the match itself, I mean, using the ladders from the moment the match starts, Eddie and Alicia just attacking Davey and Angelina on the ramp. It was great. It was awesome. It was so fast, so aggressive, so violent, this match. And then the Explorer suplex from the apron to the outside. I mean, Eddie not even landed on the apron. He landed straight on the floor. Like, that was sick. I don't know what the fuck happened there. I hope he's not hurt, but yeah. So they start using tables and ladders, kendo sticks, trash cans. I mean, the match was really sick. Obviously chairs. Man, I'm a big fan of Angelina Love. I've always been. And seeing her in action back again with a rivalry as intense as this, managing Davey Richards, she has to do a lot of talking into Davey's ears and everything. I mean, I love to see her just doing her thing. And also they really used the stipulation on their favor, you know. And then when Alicia and Eddie are hitting Davey and Angelina with trash can, then Robert Flores just says, honey, it's your turn to take the trash out. It's like, the joke was funny, but it was like he was waiting the whole pay-per-view just to say that joke. And then the spot with the kendo sticks and the trash can, that was cool. The power bomb, I mean, Eddie Edwards power bombed his wife on top of Davey Richards. I mean, that was great. And then Robert Flores saying that's in the vows, I will let you power bomb me into another man. that was great commentator for you. Oh, then the fisherman brainbuster on the chair. I mean, it was in a really high angle. I mean, Eddie bent over completely. That looked great. Oh, and then Angelina just taking a glass full of thumbtacks. That was awesome. An awesome moment for the match. Putting the thumbtacks on Eddie's mouth and then going for crippling dead in the middle of the ring. Alicia's spear looks better and better week after week, you know. And now, well, I think one of her finishers is a spear and the other one is a future shock DDT, the one Galloway style. So yeah, that's great. This match looked awesome. I mean, at some point you can see that Angelina was busted open in the nose. I mean, it wasn't a really big scar, but she was bleeding from the bridge of the nose, so I hope she's alright. I hope that's not in her eye, that is actually the bridge of her nose. But yeah, the match was very intense. A good end for this rivalry, with Alicia getting revenge on Angelina, driving her through the table with a power bomb from the ladder, and then the Sunset Fleet power bomb from Eddie to Davey over another table. And yeah, that's how it ends, with the new theme song of Eddie and Alicia. And this is just awesome. I don't see this rivalry going forward, moving in a long-term type of thing in the road to Bound for Glory. I mean, I really hope they don't do this because they have extended this a lot actually. So I really expecting really good things for both these guys. I mean, we know it doesn't matter who loses this rivalry, but you know, Davey as a heel, Eddie as a face, they both have so many things to conquer in Impact Wrestling. I mean, I would love a rivalry between Davey and Moose, between Eli Drake and Eddie Edwards. I mean, Eddie Edwards and EC3 have actually absolutely fantastic chemistry between each other. These guys just love to wrestle each other. They always said that, and a rivalry between those two will be gold. I mean, I would love to see that. So yeah, there are a lot of things that Impact can do with these two guys. I mean, for now, Davey has said that this was his last year in wrestling, but then in an interview at AMBI, he said that that's not for sure, like he doesn't know yet, but you know, he said that because he feel it was the right thing to do, but you know, he's not sure. So Impact better give Davey Richards the best year of his career with Impact Wrestling in 2017. I mean, for real, he has to be the next world champion or something. Then we go to the 2 out of 3 falls match between Sonjay and Low-Ki. So this is the surprise of the pay-per-view actually. This match was booked out of nowhere. It has all the things to be the match of the night, and it was. I mean, it was awesome. I will say that the tag team division match was great, but if you talk about a one-on-one match, this 2 out of 3 falls match was the match of the night for me, at least. I mean, I like the main event and everything, but you know, this was a special. This was 2 TNA originals give some recognition and a big spot on the anniversary pay-per-view, the anniversary show for the X Division title. This division title getting the respect that it deserved, you know, what the fans have been asking for. Instead of going for an opener with an Ultimate X, just filler match or a match in the pre-show or something, they give these guys a good position in the card, a 2 out of 3 falls, and the match was great. I mean, it was obviously going to be better than their previous match for the championship this year, but it was so cool. I mean, the first fall just happened later in the match, you know. They exchanged some wrestling moves in the middle of the ring, then they go to the outside and everything, using the ropes and at all time, just fast pace, the deep arm drags from Sonjay Dutt, and Low-Ki with that submission move that actually torques Sonjay's neck too much. And I also like how Robert Flores and Don West, actually, you can tell that they have done their work, you know, their homework. They know what they're talking about. They know, like, new to these wrestlers. I mean, probably they are to some, but they you know, they know what they have done in the past. Like, they have done research and everything though. So that, I appreciate that. I think that's great. So anyway, I like seeing Low-Ki as dominant as he was in this match. I really think that was a good way to build this match. Like, having Sonjay having trouble controlling Low-Ki in the ring. Like, Low-Ki just was too good for Sonjay at some points. And when the first fall happened, it's great. It's just Low-Ki saying, "Fuck you, Sonjay, you will never be on my level ever." Basically, Sonjay goes for a Rana from the top rope. Low-Ki was on the second rope, so Sonjay applies that, but Low-Ki rolls through, gets up, and then hits a standing Warrior's Way, just stabbing Sonjay Dutt in the chest. So he wins the first fall. Very dominant. I mean, almost without breaking a sweat. Then Sonjay has to actually pull Low-Ki's clothes to take him out of the ring and then recover himself and actually get back on top during the second. I mean, I guess you can say that this match has 3 parts, you know, 1 for every fall. So yeah, in the second part of this match, Sonjay tries to dominate over Low-Ki outside the ring. Then we have a spot on the apron, couple of moments there. Low-Ki was going for another standing Warrior's Wave, and then he lands on the mat because Sonjay moves, and so he apparently hurts his ankle. And then yeah, that was one key point for the rest of the match. Actually, Low-Ki using the ref, doing that springboard kick, but it's not enough to beat. Then the Warrior's Way onto the steel steps, and Sonjay moves up. Then Low-Ki hurts his ankle a little bit more. Then the moonsault, the Asai moonsault to the outside. Oh, and also it was strange having Sonjay Dutt applying a Boston Crab, then turns it into a single leg Boston Crab. And I haven't seen him apply that before. I don't know. Then Low-Ki gets out and gets to apply the Warrior's Way. But I like the detail that Sonjay actually got the second fall just with a cradle, an awesome cradle, avoiding low-key submission maneuver. So that puts more emphasis on the point that Sonjay is not exactly at the same level of low-key. Like, he has to actually pull his clothes, doing cradles, and he can't beat low-key clean without being in India or having, you know, some people behind him, or you know, the idea that Loki was trying to express when he ruined the celebration in India, saying that it was just luck, he doesn't deserve to be the champion and whatever. So yeah, then we see Loki just straight up punching Sonjay in the face and the guts, just having him laying on the ring mat. Sonjay tries to take control of the match again, but he just can't. So yeah, the match was really great, really interesting. It's just like from a psychology point, because you know, you have the underdog in Sonjay, which is not exactly an underdog because he overcome the odds and everything, but you know, he's never considered as the same level of Loki. But he actually manages to pin Loki clean in the middle of the ring, a 2 out of 3 falls match, taking the third fall for him. I also like this flatliner that Loki applied from the top rope. That was great. I've never seen a move like that. So yeah, as I said, actually Sonjay uses Loki's tie to drive him from the top rope to the mat, and then going for that moonsault double foot stomp, which I was expecting to see this the time he won the title, but it was awesome that he saved this for the pay-per-view. He applied it perfectly, and the commentators called it reverse Warriors way, so that's kind of cool. I mean, it's not only this feud eye for an eye, but now Sonjay applies the reverse Warriors way. So see, yeah, what a match. This was really great. I really enjoyed this match. Then we have the match that I was expecting the most. I mean, Sienna versus Rosemary. I knew this was going to be great. I know this was going to be one of my favorite matches of the year. I mean, the rivalry was really great. It just formed like weeks before SLAMMIVERSARY, when actually the Hive orders Rosemary to protect ALLIE. Well, yeah, but let's talk about the entrance. I love Sienna's outfit, but Rosemary just stole the show. I mean, that entrance with a lot of girls, like demon assassins, and then with Rosemary with the mask which actually she can just push her tongue out of the mask. That was cool. And yeah, then we have Gail Kim actually presenting the both titles. I don't know, she didn't actually took a important part of this match. I mean, at the end, I thought that he was going to have to hand over a new title for the undisputed champion, but I guess they are doing this next Thursday on Impact Wrestling on Pop TV. So I mean, that's not bad at all. But I love the interaction at the beginning of the match, like Gail Kim trying to shake Sienna's hand, but Sienna doesn't want to, just stares at her. Then Rosemary shakes Gail Kim's hand, but actually, yeah, in a very violent way. And actually Gail Kim just laughs and says that, whatever. So I think that here Gail Kim wasn't in character. You know, he wasn't Impact Wrestling's Gail Kim. She was just the living legend Gail Kim. So yeah, I don't think Gail Kim is coming back to action soon. I mean, I hope so. I haven't spoiled myself on the episode tapings that has happened, but yeah, I don't know. I guess I really hope to see Gail Kim back in action with Impact Wrestling. So the match starts really quick with they punching each other. Then KM and Laurel Van Ness come down to the ring. Actually, Rosemary dominating the first moments of the match, and I like that tilt-the-world leg Russian leg sweep combination that she made. And then when Rosemary just throws Sienna against Laurel and the ring apron, that was sick, and Sienna sold that like a master. That looked great. Then we can see a couple of problems between Laurel and Sienna. She actually tells KM to take her to the back. So yeah, this for me was a sign of things moving forward. You know, maybe this alliance is going to be over now that Sienna is the undisputed champion. She's going to concentrate just in herself. But at the end of the match, Laurel intervenes and costs Rosemary the match basically. So yeah, I don't know how this is going to work out. What are they planning on doing with Sienna's title reign? Is Laurel going to stay with that character forever or what? I mean, I like it, I enjoy it, but I was hoping, you know, that things change from SLAMMIVERSARY to Bound for Glory. So yeah, the match was really great. I mean, these guys really gave it all. I like the moment on the top rope when Rosemary reaches back to Sienna and applies a German suplex from the top rope, then the missile drop kicks. I like the counters in this match. I mean, like these two have faced one time before in a tag team match. So there were moves that Sienna knew how to counter from Rosemary and actually did, and that looked great. I mean, that makes this match look more deep. And then when Rosemary avoids the silencer, throwing Sienna into the corner. That was awesome. So I like the fact that Rosemary resists the count from a silencer, but Sienna didn't go to apply the AK-47. And also Sienna didn't. I mean, Rosemary applied the red wedding, and she had Sienna beaten in the middle of the ring. I mean, I like the way they sell the finishers, because I mean, the last 2 to 3 years, the impact formula for these big pay-per-view matches was the wrestlers just resisting like 2 or 3 finishing moves. I really prefer this way of booking matches, just where less is more, you know. A finisher is that, a finisher move. It ends the match. So yeah, Laurel then distracts the ref, ALLIE chases her, Sienna hits Rosemary with the title, Rosemary resists the count, then Sienna avoids the mist, covering Rosemary's mouth. And I like how they sold that the mist is actually burning not only Rosemary's tongue and mouth, but Sienna's hand. I loved it. And Rosemary choking from the mist. Then Sienna, with her hand full of mist that is burning, just puts her hand on Rosemary's eyes and goes for a choke, rolling Rosemary's up. So that was great. I didn't expect Rosemary to tap out to Sienna, but you know, it was credible. It was cool, the fact that they did. Rosemary actually with her face burning, and then plus the choke, the guillotine choke, and then Rosemary still sells. I love this. Sienna and Rosemary still after the match is over sell the burning. Sienna is right hand and Rosemary in her face. Now you can see Sienna she just can't completely use her right hand, and Rosemary is rolling in the ring, like, screaming in pain, touching her face. So that was awesome. I mean, it was a good ending for this match that was so anticipated. And Sienna celebrating, holding 2 titles, the GSW and the Knockouts title. So yeah, maybe this Thursday we're going to see Gail Kim handing over a brand new title for Sienna. I hope. I mean, I don't know what's going to happen with the Knockouts division. Maybe we can see ALLIE in full force now in her final form. And also I hope we can see Christina Voneri back in Impact Wrestling. So this match was great. It didn't disappoint me at all. It was better than I expected and one of the best matches of the entire night. So that's how we get to the main event. But before that, we had Jarrett actually saying that they ran out of time and that he is only glad to the fans. He's just expressing gratitude to the people that have supported Impact Wrestling since day one, blah blah blah. Basically what he has said in his Hall of Fame induction. So yeah, I like how Lashley enters with his whole MMA team, a bunch of guys there, and Alberto enters with his brother and his father. Then King Mo just pushing Alberto around, Alberto just pushing him. I mean, these two had, I don't know if a real life hit between them, but yeah, it was very stiff the way they interact in the ring and on ringside during the match. So yeah, we have now Jeff Jarrett raising up both titles, putting them on the line. So yeah, I mean, this main event was way better than the first Alberto versus Lashley we've seen on Impact Wrestling. It was awesome. The parts outside the ring. I mean, Alberto really took sick bumps in this match. Not only that suicide dive to the outside when he landed on the floor, but also he applies a crossbody over the top rope. Lashley receives him with his shoulder, and oh yeah, then his head like a whiplash just crushes into the floor or something. Well, it wasn't as bad, but it looks sick. So also in Twitter were a lot of photos of Paige in front row, but wearing a Dos Caras mask. That was really cool. I mean, that was really clever, and yeah, she was there in front row watching Alberto because she couldn't appear on that show because she's under contract, I think. Also, there were some rumors of Alberto breaking up with Paige, I think 3 days before SLAMMIVERSARY or something. I guess those were lies. But anyways, the match was great. We even got to see a top rope suplex from the 3rd rope to the middle of the ring. The match was pretty intense. I mean, a lot of moves, the arm breakers, submission moves. I really liked that. I don't know if I completely like the interactions between Alberto's father and King Mo. You know, they are there to make the point of Lashley don't giving a fuck about respect of Alberto's family and Mexican wrestling and everything. I get that, but you know, it didn't really add anything important to the match. I mean, you can take those guys off ringside and the match will be the same, you know. It wasn't an intervention like any key points on the match that would change the result. This was a very clean one-on-one match between Lashley and Alberto, and I have to say I loved the tornado DDT into an unbreaker combo that Alberto applied. That was awesome. But and then we have Lashley applying an fireman's carry slam from the second row. That was a really random move to do. I mean, when has Lashley ever applied something like that? But whatever. So the only important interference is when Dos Caras actually kicks King Mo in the nuts. Then Lashley chases him, gets distracted. Alberto hits an enziguri, hits Lashley into the ring post, and then the double foot stomp where with Lashley hanging from the ropes, and that's how he wins. So I guess that intervention was important. That last moments with King Mo and El Fantasma. I mean Dos Caras. So yeah, that was a really cool match. I like the fact that Lashley actually resists a couple of arm breakers and a super kick. Meanwhile, Alberto resisted a spear, but then the match ends with a double foot stomp. Oh, and I loved how Alberto countered the spear with a couple of drop kicks. Like, that was great. And then the spear right through the ropes into the outside. So yeah, the match was great. The celebration was really cool. It was really weird facial expressions on Jarrett and Alberto. I mean, Jarrett offers Alberto a handshake, but Alberto just doesn't give it to him. I don't know why. I mean, I get he was tired and everything, but you know, it's just a handshake, dude. And then Jarrett has to shake Alberto's father and brother's hand. It was really weird. It was like, it was as if Alberto didn't want it to see Jarrett to the eyes. You know, he was avoiding eye contact. I don't know if you noticed, but yeah, it was pretty weird. Just at the last moments of the celebration, actually you can see Jarrett going behind Ed Nordholm's back because Alberto was avoiding him. Then at the end, Alberto reaches for Jarrett's hand, so I guess everything is alright. Then they are talking. I don't know. Jarrett just, I guess he told him to stand in the corner to celebrate because we need some shots from there. But yeah, I don't know. It was a really awkward, not really awkward, but yeah, you can notice that it was kind of awkward interaction between Jarrett and Alberto. I hope things are okay. And yeah, so that was SLAMMIVERSARY. I really liked the show. I mean, the entire matches were really great. I hope that we get to see things moving forward, you know, new storylines, new everything about the Knockouts division. And I don't really know what they are going to do with Lashley. Maybe he's going to take some time off for the MMAs. You know, that kind of things used to happen in the previous years, so it's not a surprise. But yeah, in the end, this was a really good show. I really liked it. How do you like this video? Don't forget to comment and subscribe. See you in the next one. Goodbye.